When I was young, my brother and I built a boat with our father. We spent several years sailing and exploring the Patuxent River. And then I met Tony.
Peter and I spent many happy times on that boat, and so when we got married, we built a larger boat and ventured out into the Chesapeake Bay and its many rivers.
We crewed on larger boats with dreams of sailing the world, but then life took another turn.
Today, we look forward to retirement with dreams of leaving it all behind. Come join us on our journey to sail the seas.
Welcome to this video. Our Seawind 1260 Moments in Time is still under construction. She has moved out of the assembly phase and is now in the fit out stage. To the untrained eye, you're not going to see much progress cosmetically, but stay to the end and I will train your eye to see the great progress that has been made with Moments in Time. Until the end, thanks for watching. Hey, we chartered the Seawind catamaran this past June and for September. And we're getting ready. You getting excited?
I am.
We have a menu to prep, food to prepare,
Okay.
gear to pack, and then I guess we'll see you out there.
See you out there.
I feel like my parents are going sailing without me. Nah, they wouldn't do that. I'm crew.
It has been a while since Sailway had a Seawind 1260 for charter. Ola had moved south to the Bahamas and has since been struck by lightning. This boat is Duet, a brand new Seawind 1260. This boat was becoming available as of July, so Tony and I scheduled a September charter on the Seawind 1260. Unfortunately, this boat was damaged when they originally delivered it. It was damaged by the crane operator when they lowered it from the ship into the water. As you can see, it broke the aluminum crossbeam and the seagull striker. We hear that all the parts to fix it is in and they're just simply waiting for the rigger to make the repairs. After that, hopefully the boat will be commissioned and be sailing on the waters. Tony and I were waiting and hoping that this boat would be repaired and available for us, but it was not. This boat was fixed 2 weeks later and we were able to board her at the Annapolis sailboat show and talk with the friendly owners. We thought about canceling the trip, but it was a brand new Seawind 1160 shared adventure available for charter, so Tony and I decided to be the first to take her out on her first charter. We know the owner, and this is a very well equipped Seawind 1160. What are we doing?
We're headed down the bay to poke our nose in the ocean.
While we're motoring out of the South River, Tony grabbed a video camera to show everyone this well-equipped Seawind 1160 light. This is the third Seawind 1160 that Tony and I had chartered and sailed. The Seawind 1160 has an overall length of 38 feet, a beam of 21 feet 4 inches, and draws 3 feet 6 inches. Whereas the 1260 has an overall length of 41 feet, a beam of 22 feet 3 inches, and draws 3 feet 8 inches. Putting the obvious differences between the length and the width of a 1260 and a 1160, they are very, very similar boats. The 1160 does have its nav desk below and a port hull. Entering the owner's cabin, you can see the brand new towel sheets and comforters or covers that we had to open up and make our own beds. Hey, somebody had to be first. I think we were also the first to charter Ola, the 1260, as well. The owner's cabin layout is similar between the 1260 and the 1160. Because of the size difference, the 1260 has just a little bit more room in these cabinets and storage areas. This boat is so new that many of the cabinets are still bare. When it came to the electrical options, the owner pulled no punches. It had everything. This owner chose to option the C-Zone. Tony and I are also getting the C-Zone. The C-Zone is a digital control and monitoring system. It monitors the systems on the boat and allows you to digitally control all the switches throughout the boat. You can do it from the helm or from your phone. The owner's head are about the same size. It might be slight difference in dimensions, but for most part their setup is the same. The electric heads are the only way to go. Do not skip on this option. The owner optioned all the screens and shades for all patches and windows, the same as Tony and I. What are we doing?
We're sailing down the bay
On what?
on an 1160, and it's the first time we're the first ones to charter it.
It's a brand new 1160 Light named Shared Adventure, and Tony and I and Captain Mike are breaking her in. We could not charter the Seawind 1260 Duet. It's being repaired. That's another story. I'm not going to tell it.
Are you sure it's duet?
It's Duet. I went and saw it, so unfortunately. I'm going to do a walkabout on deck. Once the sails are up and the motor's off, I find so much peace and quiet and serenity with just the noise of the wind and the water gurgling through the hulls. During some of these sailing shots, I'm going to keep my mouth shut so the viewer can enjoy the serenity that me and Tony do while we sail. Well, it was raining earlier this morning. We left the docks about, I guess, 9 o'clock from South River, and we're going to see if we can make it to Point Lookout, which is quite a challenge. We'll see what we can do today, but it's in the 60s, overcast, but the rain stopped, so good day. The owner had a Highfield 340 as a dinghy with a Yamaha 9.9 horsepower. It was a nice setup. I don't know how it's tied up. I think I would tie mine a little bit differently. What you doing, Tony? Nappy?
Just looking at my phone. It's a quiet day out on the bay.
We lost a lot of our wind. We were hoping to make Point Lookout. That's not going to happen. So we're hoping to make Solomon's. We might have to turn the engines on to get there before dark. I'm hoping the wind will increase. It's directly behind us, about 4.1 knots. We're doing about 3.5. Weather reports saying the wind should be blowing 12. So we're just kind of drifting with the wind. Maybe another hour or so we'll put on the motors and make it to Solomon's. The winds were variable throughout the day. Eventually, we did have to turn the motor on to make it into Solomon's before sundown. We continued down the bay and rounded Cove Point Lighthouse. Cove Point Lighthouse was constructed in 1828. It sits 40 feet above the high tide and marks on the western shore the narrowest part of the Chesapeake Bay. The Cove Point Lighthouse was officially automated in 1986. I would see and hear this lighthouse from our previous residence at Kenwood Beach.
We had a beautiful day sailing south from Annapolis, and we hoped to make it to Point Lookout, but the sun was beginning to set as we rounded Drum Point and headed into our home harbor, Solomon's Island. Though we had to motor sail to make it in before dark, we were rewarded with a stunning sunset and a peaceful anchorage in the heart of Solomon's.
We will have to make up our lost time if we are going to stay on schedule.
What are you fixing, Peter?
My famous skewerless shish kebabs in a pan. And why?
Because the boat doesn't have a grill.
There's no grill on this, but it's all good.
It's all good. It's working out fine.
Dinner number one from start.
And what are you having to drink?
A nice red wine.
Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir. We turned in for the night in preparation for a sunrise start. We are going to have a long day tomorrow. We woke early the next morning, raised a hook, and pointed the bows to the rising sun. We had 70 miles to go, and we wanted to leave with enough time to make it to the mouth of the bay before dark. We enjoyed breakfast along the way. We just left Solomon's at 6:30 this morning on the motor. We're trying to round Drum Point, raise the sails, and ride her on down the bay. It's kind of chilly, 60 degrees out. Nice quiet anchorage last night.
Sailing down the bay, headed towards the mouth of the bay. Hoping to get there tonight.
Give me some stats.
Our speed over ground is 6.3. We have a heading of 179.
This is a very beautiful, very well equipped Seawind 1160 light. We're having a great time on this. We were supposed to charter a Seawind 1260 duet, but was a mishap. That boat wasn't available, so we thought about canceling, but this boat, which I think is Daniel's boat, Shared Adventures, was available, so we said let's take it out, and we have no regrets going out. Sailing's been great. This is day number 2. And like I said, we're heading, we're going to see if we can make it down by the mouth of the bay. Well, we'll see how we do. If we can average 6-7 knots, then we will have no problem. Thanks, Daniel, for putting this boat into charter, just for me. As you can see, Admiral Tony is at the helm, running the show. We had to average over 6.5 knots if we were to make our destination before nightfall. We were on constant watch for commercial shipping, pleasure boats, and crab pots.
And the depth where we are right now is 3 feet.
As long as we have 3 feet 6 inches. We're approaching Point No Point, one of the most beautiful lighthouses on the Chesapeake Bay. We'll see if we can go by and get some video of it. Point No Point is just north of the entrance to the Potomac River. Point No Point Lighthouse is a caisson-style lighthouse. It is a brick house mounted on top of a sunken caisson, very similar to many of the other lighthouses, such as Baltimore Light, Sandy Point. It sits 2 miles off of Maryland's western shore, in between the mouth of the Patuxent River and the Potomac River. It was completed in 1905 and stands 52 feet above the water. The first floor of the lighthouse contained a kitchen and living space, while the upper level housed bedrooms for the head keeper and his assistant. The watch room is located within the mansard roof, which is interrupted by 4 garbled dormer windows. A hexagonal iron privy with a pyramidal roof is cantilever over the edge of the lower balcony. Point No Point was constructed to fill the 30-mile gap between Cove Point and Smith Point, where there was no lighted navigation aids. In 1938, the light was fully automated, but remained manned. The lighthouse became unmanned in 1962, but remains an active aid to navigation with a light that flashes every 6 seconds. Point No Point is a beautiful lighthouse and one of my favorites. I think I said in the past, but the Chesapeake Bay has some of the most romantic lighthouses in the world. The commercial tugboats operated just east or west of the shipping lane, and we had to keep a constant eye out for them. Besides commercial shipping, we had to keep an eye out for fishing boat, pleasure boats, crab pots, and debris in the water. No rest for the Riri. We crossed over the 5-mile mouth of the Potomac River and soon approached Smith Point Lighthouse. Smith Point contained many lighthouses and towers on land, lightships, and a screw pile lighthouse that was damaged by flowing ice. This final version of Smith Point Lighthouse was completed in 1897 and stands 52 feet high. It is a caisson-style lighthouse with an octagonal brick house built on top of the caisson. It is topped by a square brick tower and lantern room. The original light was a 4th order Fresnel lens. Smith Point Lighthouse stands in 24 feet of water and was built using the same plans employed by the Wolf Trap Lighthouse, located 35 miles to the south. Lighthouse received power from shore in 1971 when a 3-mile cable was run underwater. The lighthouse was automated in 1971. It is located 2.5 miles east of Smith Point, Virginia. It remains in active use. In 2005, the lighthouse was sold to a private owner for $170,000. The private owners turned the first story of the lighthouse into a kitchen, dining room, and living room. All the interior walls and ceilings that were wood were refurbished. The kitchen was equipped with glazed cherry cabinets, a stove, refrigerator, sink, dishwasher, microwave, and toaster. The second story featured 3 bedrooms, and the 4th bedroom is located 1 level above in what was the watch room. In 2012, the private owners placed the refurbished Smith Point Lighthouse on the market for $499,999. I would have loved to have bought this lighthouse if I had the money. All clear over there, Tony? When the wind slowed and our speed dropped to below 6.5 knots, we furled the jib and started the motors. We had a time schedule to keep. I wonder where Tony is. I haven't seen her in a while. Admiral Tony privileges. We are motor sailing south. We're trying to make an anchorage by 7. It's going to be close. See how it goes. Beautiful day. Had some great sailing, not so great sailing, and great sailing again. But lots of sunshine. Well, that was kind of neat. Enjoying some dolphins in the setting sun at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. Kind of cool.
I think I need to do a better job of filming because I didn't get any of it. Yeah. But it was really cool.
She's fired. She's so fired. Yeah, look behind me. What do we got? A breakwater made out of old concrete ships. For those that are old enough to remember, concrete ships were the fad of the day in the late 60s and early 70s. This is probably the best use for them. They didn't float very well. We're just going to drop an anchor behind there for the night. We're about 3 miles from the mouth of the Chesapeake and the Atlantic Ocean. So we're going to relax, maybe peek out into the Atlantic tomorrow, and then start heading our way back up the bay. All the birds on these concrete ships was really a Hitchcockian moment. Yeah, we enjoyed our drugs in the late 60s and early 70s. You didn't ever live the 70s, you kind of just survived the 70s. And this is part of the reason why. Look how this one just broke in half. Concrete breaks rather well. We dropped a hook just inside the breakwaters of the concrete ship, just offshore of Kiptopeke State Park, a mere few miles from the Atlantic Ocean to our east. Look at that beautiful sunset over the old wrecked concrete ships. End of day 2.
I believe we sailed about 12 hours on the second day. I actually took a nap in the afternoon, and just before we got to our anchorage, we did see some dolphins. And I'm happy to say we got very close to the mouth of the bay, which made the next day very nice. And so we really enjoyed the evening. We had some cocktails as we watched the sun go down. And Peter made a really nice dinner. That was the night we cooked. What did you cook that night, Peter?
Chicken.
Peter made a special chicken dish that night.
I'm cooking my son's recipe of pickled brine marinated chicken. It's too fancy to be chicken. It's chicken. And then I'm warming up some ears of the corn, and that is dinner for night number 2. We're at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. Those are Starlink satellites being deployed right over our head.
That's incredible. Look at the line is never ending too.
Yeah,
We'll just keep going.
they call them the strand of pearls.
Huh.
Join us in the next episode as we leave the Chesapeake Bay and enter the Atlantic Ocean. We finally play with dolphins, sail past some more lighthouses, enjoy Oktoberfest in Jackson Creek, continue north and anchor in Maryland's most haunted park, and then have Tropical Storm Ophelia harass us all the way back to Annapolis on our last day.
Okay, it's November. You know what that means.
It's time for the health check.
Yes, I'll go first. I am one with the force. I have achieved balance with the universe. I have not lost any weight, and I have not gained any weight. How are you doing?
I'm kind of there too. I've lost maybe a pound. I'm this week at 41 pounds, but I keep going back and forth. So I want to start counting calories again and figure out a new exercise routine.
We'll check in on December 1st, but you have a birthday in 4 days, so wish Admiral Tony's a happy birthday in the comments.
And I'm gonna eat cake too.
Yes. This is our Seawind 1260 Moments in Time in the fit-out stage. If you look closely, you can see the stern cockpit area is completed. We can see the life ring attachments attached. We can see the davit solar panel systems attached. We can see the inboard cleats. We can see the stanchions and the handrails on the inboard. And we can see the outboard motor mount. And if you really look closer, and I enlarged this photo a little bit, you can see our sail drives and gory folding props installed as well. Moving into the cockpit area, we can see the holes for the diesel air intakes cut out. We can see the holes on the starboard and port side for the steering mechanism. We can see the lounge and the cockpit seat back is completed. Also, if you look closer, you can see the hole cut out for the manual bilge pumps. Another view of the cockpit looking aft. To the left, you can see the cockpit sink. To the right, you can see where the cooktop grill will be installed. You can see the inspection hatches cut out underneath the settees, and you can see that the cockpit is basically all closed in at this point. Moving into the saloon, you can see the round ventilation hole cut underneath the navigation desk, and you can see some air-conditioned vent holes cut as well. Also, on the port starboard steps going down a port hull, you can see the handrail is installed. Stepping into the owner's hull, this is a better view of the handrail going down the stairs. You can see some wiring work roughed in, and you can see the floor starting to be laid up. Looking into the owner's head area, you can see that the electric toilets are installed. You can see some of the side panels are also now installed. And if you look way aft, you can see our Yanmar 29 horsepower diesel motor is now installed. In the owner's bunk area, we can see that a side panel has been installed. Looking into the galley area, we can see the cutout for the chest freezer is completed, the cutouts for the sinks, and the cutout for the stove and oven. In the aft stateroom, you can see that the side panels are installed. If you look through where the closet's going to be, you can see some plumbing and wiring occurring as well. Another view of the galley area, you can see where the chest freezer is going. You can see the air conditioning hole right above that, where the refrigerator is going, and you can see where the sinks are going. You also can see where the side panel is being installed. This is the starboard forward berth area. If you look closely, you can see the panel on the outside has been installed. This is the forward deck. If you look, you can see the step going up to the coach roof is installed, the grab rails as well, and some windows and glass has been installed. And that is the state of our Seawind 1260 hull SC673 this October 2023. Autumn is upon us. Yes.